Sometimes during a busy convention, it's nice to find a nice, calm and quiet place to enjoy a nice cup of tea.
Did somebody say tea?
Well, here goes the call. Ladies, gentlemen, greetings, and welcome to the Kinetoscope Parlour, where we meet strange and wonderful people. I'm your host, Baron Celsius von Fahrenheit, and today, here at the Grand Canadian Steampunk Exhibition, we're meeting somebody who definitely is strange, Professor Elemental.
I don't know if I like that introduction.
Welcome to the Kinetoscope Parlour.
Couldn't I have been more wonderful?
I'm going to start with something simple. Who is Professor Elemental?
Oh, that's good. That's very good. I like that. There it is, me. Hi.
Okay, that is an answer.
Yeah.
And what exactly are you a professor of?
Oh, yes. Yes, no, I have been a professor for many, many years. I had to train a long time to do it, and now, of course, I'm a professional professor. So yes, very much so.
I've heard that you have a gorilla butler named Jeffrey.
No, don't be ridiculous. I don't have a gorilla butler named Jeffrey. I've got an orangutan butler called Jeffrey.
Sorry.
A gorilla would be, they would make a terrible butler. Huge, great thing, hulking, throwing their poo at everybody. And orangutan is trainable. You may have gotten confused because occasionally in my videos, Jeffrey's quite shy, so we get him a gorilla suit to wear.
That does.
So he doesn't get recognised on the street and that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't want the same sort of attention that I myself crave.
And where did you find an orangutan butler?
Well, we sort of found each other, really. I was out in the jungle and he was getting teased by the other orangutans because his love of waistcoats and serving tea on silver platters, and the other orangutans didn't really appreciate him. I liked it. I liked his style. We had a brief interview, got him to give me his CV, which frankly was atrocious because orangutans can't write, and we took it from there, and we've been inseparable ever since, mostly because I keep him in a cage.
That doesn't help. I've heard you're quite an adventurer.
Oh yes, quite the adventurer.
Yes, I would have a little adventure to propose to you.
Oh yes?
Oh yes. This is a little device I invented that allows us to access a different level of reality, which I call...
sorry.
Don't play with that. Which I call meta-reality.
Oh yes.
So, would you care to go explore it?
Oh yeah, let's give it a try. Yeah. Oh. All right.
So, you are...
Oh, my name's Paul.
And you invented the professor?
I did, yeah. He I sort of invented him, but he was kind of there all along, basically. The professor was sort of me when I'm excited and or drunk. That character has always sort of come to the surface, and so being able to make a living out of him while also getting drunk seems to work quite well, yeah.
I begin every sentence with an apology. I'm sorry that's the case, but that's just British policy. It's obviously the case with everything in honesty. I use 10 words when 2 would do. Obviously I'm British, and that makes me unique. At least I think so when I hear you speak.
How exactly did you come up with the idea of creating a steampunk Chap Hop professor?
Well, it wasn't initially. It wasn't supposed to be either sort of steampunk or chap hop. It was a single novelty song. My friend, there's one guy who produces all of my music called Tom Caruana, and he's an amazing producer. And he had this idea of doing an album where different rappers represented different periods in time. So, and I was the only rapper that actually bothered to kind of get it done in time. And I did a little Victorian one. So it was just supposed to be a one-off, and then I performed it once on stage and was just like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I want to do this all the time. And then steampunk came up, and then it started getting labelled chap hop, and suddenly there you are.
And is this your main occupation?
Yeah, amazingly, I'm at work now in a fort in Canada talking to you, which is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous way to spend your time. It's lovely.
You're not the tallest or the strongest or the fastest or the cleverest. Legends last long but not forever, so remember this. We're all together, so don't be frightened. He who knows least is most enlightened. It might be that ignorance is bliss. It's inherently ridiculous we even exist. So why be inconspicuous, a reasonable risk? Just to give it all in, it's as easy as this. together.
Were you a fan of steampunk before you started doing this?
I had no idea what it was, and I think that's really common as well with loads of bands. In fact, all of the other bands that I've ever spoken to, pretty much, who do steampunk, with a few exceptions, mostly were doing the kind of stuff they were doing, and then it got labelled steampunk, and we kind of all get kind of lumped together in this great sort of subculture. So I find that quite fascinating, that steampunk sort of came up quite organically without loads of people going, right, we're going to create this thing. It's suddenly everybody came together at the right time. So yeah, I had no clue what steampunk was. I was just doing my thing, and after I did Cup of Brown Joy, I had a couple of Americans kind of going, hey, you're so steampunk, and I don't know what that is. Can I come and play in your country?
You inject a lot of humor in the character, and you don't seem to take yourself too seriously.
No.
Do you think humor is an important part in steampunk?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because imagine me trying to do the sort of stuff that I do with a straight face, it'd be ridiculous. And also, I mean, look at you. You're standing in a field, in a fort, in the middle of the daytime, with like a chimney and a robotic arm and a special magic machine, and that is inherently ridiculous. And I don't think that's anything wrong with that. There's something brilliant about it, but it all gets ruined when people start taking it too seriously. And I particularly have a problem with people going, well, that's not steampunk, you didn't craft it yourself in the middle of the night. So like anything can be steampunk, it's whatever you want it to be, so it should be silly. It should be silly.
Can you give us a clue as to what the future holds for the Professor?
Yeah, I can actually. I tend to plan quite far ahead, and so this year we've been doing kind of a board game and novels and stuff, and kind of broadening it out beyond just doing the music. And the next thing I want to do is a very big project. The last album that I did ends with Jeffrey lost in time, and I want to do almost going back to that original idea where the Professor came from, an album where I bounce through time on the hunt for Jeffrey. And with that, I want to incorporate everything that I've done so far, comics and games and all sorts of stuff, in a great big Kickstarter. Yeah, I've been working on it a long time. I think it's going to be lovely.
Great. Well, I guess it's about time I return you to your old self.
Please no. Don't make me be him again. I don't know. Oh God. Oh goodness. Sorry, I had a bit of a funny turn then. Came over a bit peculiar.
Well, I guess all that's left is to ask you your geek question. And for some reason, I feel like asking you something a bit crazy and a bit British.
No.
So I'd like to know if you could take any character from British fiction to a tea party in Wonderland, who would you take?
Very good question. I think I would probably take Toad of Toad Hall in the first instance, because I've always admired his work. And also Vivian Stanshall, who was a real chap, but so eccentric as to be practically fictional, and he is, in every sense, my role model, and particularly the role model for the sort of stuff that I do now. Oh yes.
Great. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
No,
it's been a pleasure having you.
Lovely. Cheers. Toodaloo.
That's all for today. I'm Baron Celsius von Fahrenheit, telling you to stay weird, and we shall meet again at the Kinetoscope Parlour.
Elemental, right through the west like the Pinkertons.
Hi everyone, Alex here. I hope you liked the episode. I certainly liked filming it. Paul is just a blast to work with. He's just as crazy as the Professor is. And here's the thing, most people before an interview want to at least have an idea what the questions are going to be, to know where they're going. Paul insisted on not knowing anything, so except for when we had to do a second take for sound problems or things like that, all that you see in there is completely improvised. He had no idea what questions I was going to ask him, and he just gave these crazy answers off the top of his head. So yeah, that's really like how he is naturally. So you can imagine the fun we had. And I think I'm gonna need at some point to do a blooper episode, if only because we had a lot of fun between takes, like when things went wrong, he'd say these crazy comments and things like that. So yeah, it's kind of sad that you can't see that, so maybe I'm gonna try and see if I have enough stuff at some point and put these things together. On the technical side, not much. It's pretty much the same thing as the other episode I filmed in Fort George. A lot of noise, a lot of wind that I had to deal with, but I think I managed something not too bad. There's a lot of noise at the beginning, but you do what you can. And I need to thank my friend Annie, who supplied me with the show footage, all the show you see, and actually all the music from Professor Elemental. This is footage she took for her own project, and she lent it to me. She gave me a copy for this episode, and for the next one too. So on this little teaser, I'll leave you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Reject the invitation as proof, no offense, but if he wrestles you, then fling him some fruit, then attend. In new suits, ball gowns, top hats and pajamas. Over there at the back, you'll find Tom Caruana, and he's cooking up some marvelous beats, the largest of treats. You ate before you came, you'll still be starving to eat. Enter past the best party of the last century. Leave your common sense, make friends with every enemy. Tonight there's plenty of special guests, so incredibly fresh is how it's meant to be. Yes, you can pretend to be anything and anyone. Everything we do for fun, especially set up, and I'll share a set with everyone. I'm like a one-man pantomime, so friends and foes and anyone who'll ever be a fan of mine. You're invited! All you steampunks and larpers! All you geeks, nerds and artists! You're invited! Your mum's friends and your cousins, your grand's bingo club and all the dozens of others! You're invited! Perky and properly attired, are all dead.